We have with us today Michael Kayem. He's with our Marina Del Rey office. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for welcoming me.
So talk a little, why don't you introduce yourself and talk about your business?
My name is Michael Kayem. I have been in real estate since I got licensed in October 2001, about 21 years ago. And over the years, I've built my business with referral, with follow-ups. Now I'm more concentrating to social media. Videos, and I've also accumulated income properties since 2001.
Nice.
That's what got me into real estate, and I actually have multiplied that regards.
So you've really taken your business to the next level. You kicked it into high gear. I was saying, what have you done differently in the last few years than you did in the previous years?
I think social media has been a really benefit to my business videos. So, you know, I want to express my sales, my experience, and I think it comes across in videos a lot more than a text or an email. So there's a contact there, face to face.
So besides video, what other marketing do you do to past clients?
I farm areas in Culver City.
Geographical farming.
Geographical farming, and also I send out mailers, follow-up letters, and contact my clients too.
Some people don't like to pick up the phone and call their past clients. Is that something you do?
I do it, but not enough.
Nobody does it.
And also, people don't answer their phones.
Right.
So you go to voicemail, I'm not going to leave a voicemail. So then I will text, or actually I will do a video and send it by text to person, addressing them personally.
So I know you work the west side and you really concentrate on Culver City. What's the market doing right now, and how are you adjusting your business to combat with the market change in the market?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a decelerating market, as you know. There is benefit though. I mean, if you have buyers now, you can put a property in escrow.
It's refreshing.
Yeah, it is. And you can keep your contingencies active. You don't have to remove them, or you're not competing against 5-10 offers. So that's been a good advantage for my buyers. In terms of listings, it has diminished. There's less properties. I find that sellers want to wait, and but prices have been steady.
Has your dialogue with listing prices changed with sellers recently?
Yes, but not to an extreme. More, you know, what I mentioned is longer days on the market. Used to be 30, it's 64 now. So, you know, the frenzy of putting my house in escrow within a week, I'm letting them know ahead of time, you know what, this is going to take longer. It might take a month, it might take 2 months, but your property will sell.
Setting expectations.
Absolutely, yeah, ahead of time.
So besides social media, what other lead generation tools do you use?
I do use the American magazine.
American Lifestyle?
Yeah, Lifestyle.
That's a good one.
It's a really good one. I've had it for over 10 years.
Okay.
And I know that if I skip anything, that magazine is going to go out. And it automatically goes out to all my clients.
People love that.
They love it. And it looks professional, it's high end. And I really think it makes an impact. Yeah. So I've been doing that for about 10 years.
Do you do lead gen, online lead gen?
I was doing Zillow, but the numbers just did not work as of late. I think there's just less activity, and the cost is very high. So it just didn't make any sense. So I'm pausing it for now, which I've done before. So I come in and out of Zillow, lead generation.
So what would you tell a younger self now that you have 21 years of experience in the real estate business? What would you do differently?
Think long term, all the way down. I mean, you're not going to get rich quickly. And if you do, you're lucky. You're 1 in 100. Think long term. And think long term in investing in all across the board. That's where the money is.
So talk about investing. You said you got into real estate because of investments. What product mix do you typically sell and help buy?
Well, I invested in an income property back in 2001, and that really kind of taught me how to run numbers on properties, what to look for. So I've, over the years, purchased, you know, multiple units and single-family residence, and I've accumulated 8 properties, which
Wow.
over 20 years.
That's
you know,
fantastic.
my goal was 10 when I started, so maybe I'll reach my goal one day.
You know, we were saying, what I always say is the best time to buy real estate is 20 years ago. The second best time is today. So
Absolutely.
congratulations. I think real estate is a fine investment.
Absolutely, and you can use a depreciation every year, and you know, property doubles every 10 years.
So you have an acting background.
Yep.
And tell us how you've used that to increase your business.
So I was an actor before real estate for about 10 years. Did plays, did sitcom, did some soaps. And so, you know, when I'm inside meeting with a client, I know that I'm not going to stutter. I'm not going to pause. It has to be natural. And I'm using that as a background because I've studied it, and it really has helped. So if, you know, I'm just telling a lot of agents, take an acting class. If you're having a hard time in front of a client, you know, you can go once a week, do it for 2-3 months, and just get used to being in front of the camera or in front of the client. It's really the same thing.
It's really the same thing,
Yeah.
and you can never hone your skills enough in that arena. I agree.
Absolutely.
So one last question: Why did you choose Remax, and why have you stuck with Remax?
So I joined Coldwell Banker, and I got my first check, and I looked at it, and they had whited out how much they took out of my commission.
Ooh.
So that was my first check and my last one there. I just crossed the street. It was in Marina Del Rey. I packed my little cubicle and I crossed the street and I went to Remax, and that was in beginning 2002. And I just loved the whole setup, you know, and the split. And so it really works for me.
That's great.
Yeah.
Tell us, you know, you talked a little bit about Zillow and online leads and other lead gen. The market is transitioning. What do you see the industry doing in the next 3 to 5 years?
I think we're going to, you know, panic. No panic. People love to panic and look at the downside of everything. And
There's a lot of negative people out there that
Yeah,
says
most people are.
They are.
Look, interest rates are right now at 5.35 as of yesterday. Not that bad.
Not that bad.
No, and then you can refinance. Just do a 5-year fix at 5%, 5.25%, and refinance in 2-3 years.
Right.
It's not a big deal. Yeah, just, you know what? Prices are not going to crash. It will stabilize, perhaps, but
Well, we've had a 45% appreciation over the last 2.5 years. If we actually adjust at 3 to 5%, it's not the end of the world.
no, actually, it's long-term investment. Again, you know, it's not the 2 years, it's not the 3 years, it's the 10, 20 years down the road that you got to look at.
Michael Kayem, investment property conversation, take 1.
So, Michael, talk a little bit about investments. Obviously, you have experience in locating and identifying. What do you look for when you're looking for an investment property?
I look for positive cash flow right off the bat.
Okay.
Or break even. I don't want to be out of pocket every month.
Right.
It doesn't make sense. You don't buy a business that loses money unless you see potential. But with rent control, it's very difficult to turn that around. So I will look for a property with vacancies. That's really big. And being in the business, I have firsthand knowledge of what's out there. So for me, it's a positive cash flow.
So rental income is more important than potential equity appreciation.
No, equity appreciation is a no-brainer. It's going to come, you know, 10, 20, 30 years down the road. It will triple its value. That's coming, whether you like it or not. But positive cash flow is in your control. That's what you have to choose. So I definitely run the numbers. I look at the PITI versus the potential rent income, and I balance it out and look at the expenses and so forth, so I can really know whether or not I'm going to be under or over or even.
So what about rent control? Do you shy away from rent control, or do you own rent control properties?
Yeah, I own rent control properties, except in the city of LA, it's been a nightmare as of late, as you know, with the rent moratorium. So my last property I've purchased is in Hawaii. I just purchased it 3 months ago.
Nice. Can we go
thank
visit?
You. Absolutely. Just let me know when. It's a condo, positive cash flow, because they allow Airbnb in Maui. So it's rented, fully rented until December of this year. And there is positive cash flow. So, you know, if you don't like the politics of California, and I understand that, you can invest in other states. There's other places. And if you can't afford the down payment, then partner up with a trustworthy friend for the down payment. Because you have to dish out 25 to 30%. And here, you don't get anything under $1 million. 300,000, you know, it's kind of hefty numbers. So you can always partner up and go that way.
Good advice.
Absolutely.
So, Michael, we talked about investing here locally and also out of state. What's the pros and cons of, and what other area out of state are you looking at?
So I was looking at Florida. They have no rent control state. You know, a lot of the Republican states are not going to have rent control, and even they will let you do short-term rentals, which is great. But what we have here in Southern California is property appreciation.
Yes, like
Equity,
no other.
like no other. So there's pros and cons of investing here. If you want to deal with the politics of rent control and you have the stomach for it, this is a great place to invest. Population is looking, what I'm saying is low vacancy rate and property equity appreciation, which you don't get in many other areas.
It's pretty easy to rent out properties as long as they're fair market value. You get a tenant in there pretty quickly.
Since I've started, it's been basically when I have a vacancy, I have 3, 4, 5 applications. And this is in the last 20 years. So it's never been an issue.
Besides Florida, what other states would you consider investing in outside of California?
Nevada, Arizona. Again, you know, no rent control. Obviously, as an investor, as a landlord, property owner, you're not going to like rent controls, especially, you know, during COVID. But again, you know, equity appreciation, Southern California, you just are not going to find that.
What are the pros? What other pros and cons of investing outside of the state of California?
Well, you can't drive to your property.
That's a big one.
Yeah, it's a big one. You can get a management company, but they'll never do as good as a job as you do.
That's true.
So there is a benefit to being able to go to the property, walk the grounds, and take a look at what's going on.
What needs to be repaired? If there's a
Exactly.
problem, you can drive over there.
Absolutely. And you can do it like that.
And save money.
Save money, yeah, because you got to pay the management company, of course.
Right. So you mentioned social media. Where do you find your content and what do you talk about?
So Facebook, Instagram are the two that I use the most. Once a week, I try to find a property, a luxury property, and I go over there and I film myself talking about it and the history, the landmark, because sometimes, you know, a couple of weeks ago I did the Mary Tyler Moore house.
Okay.
That just went on the market. And then the week before that, I did one of the most expensive houses in LA. So people love, you know, they're interested in that kind of thing, you know, history, landmarks. I did the Venice Muscle Beach a few weeks ago. So I'm trying to keep that up, try to grab people's attention.
So local content that has an interest.
Absolutely. That's going to capture the audience. And so that's what I've been lots of videos in that regard.
How often do you post?
I try to do it once every 2 weeks. I'm going to try to do it every week. Post that kind of videos, but no, I post a few times a week, different market, how it's doing. I'm also following Steve Thomas,
Reports on housing.
Reports on housing, he's amazing. Yeah. I post the stats, so I definitely keep it going in that regards.
Well, you're always insightful.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you dropping by. I know you're busy, so Michael Kayem.
Thanks, James, and thanks everybody.